Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the 13th episode of Pariprashna, a podcast series where we are making an attempt to share ancient wisdom with modern people. So, until now, in the first 12 chapters of Srimad Bhagavad Gita, Krishna has already explained Karma Yoga predominantly in the first 6 chapters, Bhakti Yoga quite extensively in the middle 6 chapters, and now we are about to enter the last 6 chapters, which is called the Jnana Yoga section. So, today in this episode, we will be discussing chapter number 13 titled Kshetrajna Vibhaga Yoga, and the English title adopted by Srila Prabhupada is Nature, the Enjoyer, and Consciousness. So, we are about to explore some metaphysical concepts today. So, I am super excited. I'm sure you are too. So, without further ado, let us continue to inquire from His Grace Kamala Lochan Prabhu. So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna.
So, Prabhu, previously you have taught us the yoga ladder, and we know by now that Bhakti Yoga is the topmost rung on the yoga ladder. So, if Bhakti Yoga is the culmination, then why speak about Jnana after speaking so extensively on Bhakti in the previous 6 chapters?
It is like a sandwich.
Mhm.
Like in a sandwich, you have two bread toast. In the middle, you have the butter, which is the most important part. In the same way, you have the Karma Yoga in the beginning and the Jnana Yoga at the end. In the middle, you have the Bhakti Yoga. So, show the confidential nature of Bhakti is one of the important reasons
Okay.
why there is a sandwich here. The first 6 chapters, the last 6 chapters, and the middle 6 chapters, which is Bhakti. Now, after speaking about Bhakti, why Jnana is spoken? Because this Jnana Yoga, which is spoken in the 13th chapter, it has got some speciality. What is speciality? Whatever Krishna spoke in the second chapter, the same thing is spoken here in a more technical language, because there are some people who would not accept Bhagavad Gita as Upanishad. So Upanishadic language has been used in the 13th chapter, so that Bhagavad Gita gets a flavor of Upanishads. Not only it is the essence, but it should also have the flavor of the Upanishad, so that people who don't have faith or they have a doubt, is Bhagavad Gita at the same level of Upanishads or not? For those people, Krishna is speaking this 13th chapter. Also, this Jnana Yoga strengthens the bhakti within our heart. Because the more we know about how Krishna operates this world, the more we appreciate Krishna. So Jnana Yoga is also yoga. In that sense, it is bhakti, because it is in connection with Krishna. So when you know how Krishna is wonderfully working in this world through the modes of nature, through his potency, the more your appreciation for Krishna whom you love. The more your appreciation for Krishna whom you love, your love for Krishna increases, bhakti increases. So that knowledge, which actually strengthens our bhakti, is as good as bhakti itself.
Prabhu, is Jnana a prerequisite for progressing in Bhakti based on what you just said?
Now, there is a difference between Jnana and Jnana Yoga. Now, prerequisite is something like this. Definitely, Bhakti Yoga doesn't require any prerequisite conditions. But the moment you start loving a person, the knowledge about the person is revealed. The more you try to know about that person, the more you love the person. So, Jnana Yoga and Bhakti Yoga are complementary to each other. Though Bhakti Yoga is independent of Jnana. It is independent of Jnana. Nobody requires neither Jnana Yoga nor Karma Yoga to start Bhakti, because Bhakti in itself is independent. Bhakti Shakti influences a person directly. That is the nature of Bhakti Shakti, that it can flow in the heart of a person by the person coming in contact with the Abhideya Tattva, that is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Matva Nivedanam. Just hearing the name of Krishna, one has started Bhakti. But when you hear the name of Krishna, when you experience that love for Krishna, to whatever extent. To that extent, you would have a desire to hear about Krishna, to know about Krishna. So in this way, naturally, though bhakti is independent of jnana yoga, but still this jnana yoga is a thing which helps us to make the bhakti stronger.
Okay, okay. All right. So, Prabhu, this chapter starts with Arjuna asking 6 specific things to Krishna, where he is wanting some more detailed explanation. Arjuna uvacha prakritim purusham chaiva kshetram kshetrajnyamev cha etadveditum ichhami jnanam kneyam cha keshava. So, he's specifically asking 6 things: Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, and Gneyam. So, Prabhu, answering these 6 specific things asked by Arjuna, Krishna does not necessarily answer them in the same order asked by Arjuna. He is restructuring them and answering. What could be the purpose of this, Prabhu?
So, what is the purpose of Arjuna asking these questions, isn't it?
No, why did Krishna reorganize it? Like he first asked Prakriti, Purusha, Kshetra, Kshetrajna, Jnana, Gneyam. But Krishna starts off with Kshetra, Kshetrajna.
Okay. So now Prakriti Purusham Chaiva Kshetram Kshetrajna cha. Now Kshetra and Kshetrajna, based on that only, the knowledge of understanding the distinction between Kshetra and Kshetrajna leads to the further understanding of the details. Other things are details. That is Prakriti, Purusha are all details. Jnana, Jneya, they are all details. But basic understanding is Kshetra and Kshetrajna, body, soul and super soul. That is called knowledge. And any other thing is only expansion of that knowledge.
I see. Okay, wonderful. So Krishna immediately starts answering what is Kshetra and Kshetrajna. First, let's Kshetra, Prabhu. Shri Bhagavanu vacha idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidiyate etadyo veti tam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. So the first 2 lines, he is explaining what is Kshetra. So Prabhu, if you can elaborate to us on what exactly is Kshetra.
Now, what is the meaning of Kshetra? Kshetra means body, as simple as that. This body refers to the world. That is the material energy of Krishna. Like you have, Kshetra means field, an agricultural field, where the farmer, he puts the seed, puts water, and then it goes into a plant or a tree and then gives fruits. So the basis on which the jiva conducts its material activity is called Kshetra. That is why it is called Kshetra, body and the world. That is called Kshetra. Idam shariram kaunteya kshetram ityabhidiyate. So the place or the substratum on which we perform different activities and reap different kinds of results. That is called Kshetra.
Okay. So, Prabhu, how many types of Kshetras are there, different fields?
See, Kshetras are 84 lakh species. When you say bodies, it refers to 84 lakh species. We have this knowledge of 84 lakh species very nicely understood. Jalaja Navalakshani Stavaraha Lakshavimshati. Jalaja Navalakshani means what? In the water, there are Jalaja Navalakshani, 9 lakh species of water are born in water. That is aquatics. Stavaraha Lakshavimshati, 20 lakh varieties of creepers, plants, trees, etc. And 4 lakh varieties of humans, we know that very well. And 30 lakh varieties of 4-legged animals, and 10 lakh varieties of birds. This makes 84 lakh varieties of species, 11 lakh varieties of insects also. Rimikaha, Rudra, Sanketaha. So when you say Kshetra, it refers to these varieties of species. And the species, though it is having a particular kind of a body, but still the division of species is not the way the modern science understands. The division of species is based on the stage of consciousness of the living entity. Depending on the state of consciousness, a particular kind of body is given. For example, If somebody has a particular consciousness of eating anything and everything at any time, what is the best body? The best suited body is the body of a pig, where the pig can eat anything, everything, anytime, anywhere, still not go to the doctor, still it will not fall sick. So the distinctions of the body or the different kinds of bodies are based on different levels of consciousness of the living entity. Different levels of consciousness means different mixtures of the modes of nature, the permutation, the combination of three modes of nature. Based on that, you have a particular kind of conditioned consciousness. Based on the conditioned consciousness, you have a particular kind of a gross body.
Okay. So, Prabhu, I just want to highlight something here that Prabhupada is writing in the purport. This body is the field of activity for the conditioned soul. So, for the conditioned soul, we have the Kshetra. Just now you described 84 lakh different types of species are there. For a liberated soul also, do they have a Kshetra or no?
For a liberated soul, there are two kinds of liberated soul. One is Jivan Mukta. That means who is living in this world still liberated. And one who is Videha Mukta means they don't have a body, they are in the spiritual world. So in the spiritual world, there is no Kshetra. There is no Kshetra because everything is Chinmaya. Ananda Chinmaya Rasa Pratibhavitavihi. Chintamani Prakara Satmasu Kalpa Vriksha. So everything in the spiritual world is made up of consciousness. So there is no Kshetra there. Now coming back to this material world, they are liberated, but still by the arrangement of Krishna, there is a Kshetra for conducting their activities as long as they are still existing in this world. They are not bound by karma. There is a residual prarabdha karma which is not binding, but still it has to be there because they are existing in this world. By the will of Krishna, this can happen.
Okay. So, Prabhu, we'll just jump to 6th and 7th shlokas where Krishna is talking about the constituents of the body, Kshetra, 24 different elements. So, I'll just chant those two verses, 6th and 7th. Mahabhutanyahankaro buddhir avyaktamev cha indriyani dashaikum cha pancachendriya gocharaha ichchadvesha sukam dukkam sanghataschetana dhritihi etat kshetram samasena savikaram udahritam. The five great elements, false ego, intelligence, the unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense objects, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and convictions, all these are considered in summary to be the field of activities and its interactions. So, can you please take us deep into this, Prabhu?
So, in these two verses, Krishna speaks about Sankhya Yoga in summary. What Krishna spoke in the 2nd chapter, he speaks the same thing in summary at the same time in a more technical way.
Okay.
So, we have the 24 elements being described here or mentioned here. Sankhya word comes from the word Sankhya, means counting. Why you use this word counting? Hand. I am not this hand. Oh, this is my eye. I am not this eye. Oh, this nose. I am not this nose. So go on counting the different elements and then try to find out who you are. This is called Sankhya. Whom you are not, you try to find out who you are by trying to understand whom you are not. So while trying to finding out whom you are not, you try to count. This I am not. Oh, this I am not. So Krishna, he speaks the Sankhya Yoga, or in a nutshell, in these two verses. Mahabhutani, Mahapancha Mahabhutas, Ahankara, 6th one, Buddhi, that is Tamasa Buddhi, is also known as which is the source of all the material elements. Avyaktam, that is Pradhana, and Indriya, Mahabhutani Ahankaro, Buddhir Avyaktamevacha, Indriyani, Dashekamcha, 11 senses, 5 knowledge gaining senses, 5 working senses, and Eka means that is the mind, So Pancha Chendriya Gochara, five, which are the sense objects. So 11 plus 5, 16, 16 plus Panchamahabhutani, 24, 24 plus again becomes Pradhana, Buddhi and Ahankara. It becomes 24 elements. So 24 elements are mentioned in the sixth verse. Now, Icha Dvesha, when the interaction happens between them, when there is interaction between the senses and the sense objects, with the mind in the center, with the intelligence trying to find out what I like, what I don't like. So in this way, Icha Dvesha, two things arise. You get happiness, you get misery. So the objects which give you happiness, you have Icha for it. The objects which give you misery, you have Dvesha for it. That is why Icha, Dvesha, Sukham, Dukkham. Sukha, Icha, Dukkha, Dvesha. That is called Sangavat Chetana Dhati. So all the experiences of Sukha and Dukkha, because of getting something what you don't like, that is called Dukkha, or not getting something which you like, that is called Dukkha. And what is Sukha? Something which you get something which you like, and you don't get something what you don't like. That is called Sukha. Where is the experience of Sukha and Dukkha? It is Sangada Chetanadriti. It is a conditioned consciousness called Chitta. Within our heart, there is something called Chitta, which is the soul's light called consciousness mixed with the modes of nature. That is called Chitta. That is called contaminated consciousness. So this contaminated consciousness is the bhumi, is a substratum where we experience all the sukha and dukkha, all the thirst and hunger. Everything is experienced there. You may say that I am thirsty. Where is that thirst felt? The thirst is felt in the tongue, it is in the stomach, which is the mind. Of course, in one sense it is the mind, but actually the technical word being used is Sangada Chetanadati, which is known as Chitta. That is where you experience that. Now, Etat Kshetram Samasena Savikaratam, Vikaram Udaharatam. So the sixth verse talks about Kshetra. The seventh verse, first line talks about Vikara. Vikara means interaction between the elements within the Kshetra. So this is the meaning of these two verses.
Okay. So Prabhu, now going to Kshetrajna. So back to second verse where Krishna is saying, Etad yovetti tam prahuhu kshetrajna iti tadvidaha. The blessed Lord then said, this body, O son of Kunti, is called the field, and the one who knows this body is called the knower of the field. And later Krishna also explains there are two knowers of the field. One is the soul and the other is the super soul. So if you can please elaborate on this, Prabhu, Kshetrajna.
Kshetrajnam chapi mam vidyat sarvakshetreshu bharata. So now, what is Jnana? Jnana means to know the three things. Number one, Kshetra and Kshetrajnayor Jnanam. Kshetra Kshetrajnayor means there are two Kshetrajnas. Jna means to know. One who knows the field. For example, I have a stomach ache. Who knows the stomach ache? I know. Who is that I? The soul, the conditioned soul. Now, if somebody else has a stomach ache, I don't know about it. So I am a Jiva Kshetrajna, Anu Kshetrajna. There is one more Kshetrajna called Vibhu Kshetrajna, Pradhana Kshetrajna, Patir Gunesha. Krishna has been described as Pradhana Kshetrajna, who is the knower of all the bodies. He knows my stomach ache, your headache, others' hand ache, everything he knows. Because he is there as Paramatma in everybody's heart. So, Krishna is the Paramatma who is known as Pradhana Kshetrajna. So, both are Kshetrajnas. One is Anu, other is Vibhu. That is a distinction between the soul and the super soul, which has been clearly described in the second chapter. Again, Krishna is talking about it. Kshetrajnam cha abhimam cha. The word cha is enough to show that there is a distinction between the soul and the super soul. The super soul cannot become the super soul. The super soul is Vibhu. He is there as super soul. He is a soul for the soul in everybody's heart. So you are Sakshi for everyone. But you are Sakshi for your own body. That is a distinction. That is called Dvaitavada. Means to understand that the living entity is distinct from the Supreme Lord. eternal. There is eternal distinction between the Supreme Lord and the living entity. Supreme Lord and matter. Supreme Lord and matter. And there is a distinction between the living entity and living entity. Distinction between living entity and the body. And there is a distinction between body and body. So these are the 5 distinctions which has to be understood. This is known as Panchabheda Siddhanta. Among the 3 subject matters, that is matter, spirit and controller. Chitta, Achit, Ishvara. Among these 3, the distinctions had to be understood. What are the 5 distinctions? Matter, matter distinction, matter, soul distinction, and matter, supreme lord distinction, the soul and soul distinction, soul and supreme lord distinction. So 3 subject matters which are the object of knowledge, and knowing them is called knowledge. And based on the 3, you have 5 distinctions which you have to know.
Okay, so Prabhu, you elaborated on the distinctions. What about the similarities between the 2 Kshetrajnas?
The similarities can only be spoken when you accept there is a distinction. The very word similar means there is distinction. Like, hey, they both look similar. What does it mean? They both are different. So then you talk of similarities. Definitely, there are similarities. What is similarity? The Kshetra and Kshetrajna, Kshetrajna, the Vibhu Kshetrajna, Supreme Lord, and the living entity. What is similarity? The similarity is that both are eternal, both are conscious. But why this similarity has come, that has to be understood. The similarity has come because of the soul, which is known as the Anu Kshetrajna, is part and parcel of the Vibhu Kshetrajna, which is super soul. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Mama Eva Amshaha, Jivaloke Jivabhutaha Sanatanaha. So as much as there is an ocean and a drop of ocean, both are similar in the sense that both are salty in nature. So qualitatively, they both are similar, but quantitatively, there is distinction. Like the fire and the spark of the fire. There is a distinction between both of them. We cannot say the spark is fire, but the spark has the nature of the fire in it.
Okay, okay. Prabhu, you said the soul interacts with the body through chitta. That is the consciousness which is emanating from the soul is mixed up with the 3 modes, and then that is where we feel thirsty, hungry, happy, sad, all those things. Now, how does soul and super soul interact?
How does the soul and the super soul interact? As long as the soul is conditioned by the modes of nature, there is no question of the soul interacting with the super soul. Krishna says in the 6th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Prashantasya Paramatma Samahitaha. One who has got attained peace in mind. Then only Paramatma Samahitaha. Paramatma can be seen only when the soul is peaceful, in the sense that consciousness, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. As long as there is agitation of the modes of nature, till then the soul cannot interact with the super soul. To the extent you are liberated, to that extent your direct connection with the super soul.
So pure devotees like Srila Prabhupada, the soul and the super soul are completely interacting.
Definitely.
Okay. So Prabhu, in chapter 2 and again here in chapter 13, Krishna has made it super simple in terms of what is our identity. It is very, very clear, straightforward, where he has said, we are not the body, we are the soul. He said that in 2.11 and 2.11 to 2.30 and now here Kshetra, Kshetrajna. But now forget about understanding that I am the soul, not the body, but even within the bodily identity, or rather bodily misidentity. So I don't know how familiar you are with all the things that is going on across the world, especially in the Western country and specifically in America, in the name of wokeism, in the name of being extremely liberal, the radical left. So even in the bodily identity, when it comes to gender identity and sexuality, so it has gone to the extent, like even as we speak currently, these are realities, what's happening. So when the child is born, what they are saying is we should not assign the gender identity, we can't say the baby is male or female. The child will grow up and the child gets to choose what is its gender. Okay, and that's one thing. It's a very elaborate topic. I'll just highlight a few things. And then, even in social media handles, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, you have a section where you say, what is your preferred pronoun? So, like, I'm a she, I'm a female. But if I say that my preferred pronoun is a he, then everybody has to respect my preference. I know it's bizarre. So they have to call me a he, although I'm a she. And children as young as 13, 12, 11, in several states in America, like California, New York, I think several other states also, Washington. So the children can opt for change of gender without the consent of the parent. It's legally allowed. And girls, young girls, being given puberty suppressing pills that will impact their hormonal changes. And even later, as adults, they can change their gender, women becoming men, men becoming women. I don't know how the whole thing works, but this is all going on. And earlier, it used to be LGB, like lesbian, women preferring to have sexual union with women, and gay, men with men, and bisexual, they swing both ways. But now they have added LGB, now T also. T is transgender, a male becoming a female and female becoming a male. And then Q. Q is like questioning, like they're still questioning what is their gender. They have not decided yet. And plus, they have put a plus there, LGBTQ plus. I don't know how many letters there. They may run short of all the 26 letters in the English alphabets. So there is this whole complication, artificial complexity that is created around gender identity. And to the extent that in the recent Olympics, in Paris Olympics to 2024, an Algerian boxer who is actually a biological male, his chromosome is X and Y, but he was allowed to fight in the female boxing because he identified himself as a female. And no doubt, within 6 minutes, that girl who was fighting opposite of him, she could not withstand because a male in a boxing championship where physical strength is an advantage, and he was declared the winner. So, men identifying as women who is allowed to play in international Olympics in a female sport. So, what do you make of all this insanity that's going around with gender identity and sexuality?
People don't understand Bhagavad Gita, then these things are going to happen. Actually, even though somebody identifies themselves to be a male or a female, that is also insane. So somebody is less insane, somebody is more insane, but insane is insane. If I say that this is a glass of milk, it's only 1 drop of poison, and somebody says, no, this is better because only 1 drop of poison. This has got 10 drops of poison. But just because it's lesser poison, will you take that?
No.
So we don't talk much about these crazy things because the craziness increases. Basically, craziness is that to think that I am not, I'm this body, that itself is crazy. You're already intoxicated. And what else you can expect from an intoxicated person? So it goes on degrading. It goes on degrading, goes on degrading. So it is 10% degradation, 100% degradation, degradation and degradation. So when you don't get transcendental knowledge, sattva leads to rajas, rajas leads to tamas, and tamas leads to more tamas. So Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is clearly said, Yei bhalo, yei manda, yei sava brahma. Whether somebody is very religious, thinking that I am a man, I am a husband, I am wife, that is religious ignorance. And this LBQ, whatever you say, I don't know what it is. This is known as irreligious ignorance. Both are ignorance. So the only solution for both of them is Bhagavad Gita. It is not that one is better than the other. Those who are religious, they are called high class ignorance. Those who are religious, there is low class ignorance. Ultimately, it is ignorance. You try to find out, make a person, bring a person, if If high-class ignorant person criticizes low-class ignorant person, then we enter into chaos. That is called chaos. So when will the chaos get over? Not by bringing a person with the low-class ignorance to high-class ignorance, by giving Krishna conscious knowledge to them. That is what Srila Prabhupada did. It is not that during time of Prabhupada it was not there. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to America, these are all there, but they are not publicized.
Mm.
But Srila Prabhupada brought those people and then gave them knowledge. At the same time, in India, they were having a religious ignorance. The ignorance called religiosity. Religiosity is ignorance. The moment you understand religiosity is ignorance, that is the time you start understanding Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is not a religious book. It is book of spirituality, book of knowledge. So the moment you accept religion is ignorance, religiosity is ignorance, dharma is ajnana, that is the time you understand, that is the time you enter into the Bhagavad Gita. So Srila Prabhupada just spoke to them, the Bhagavad Gita, and those people, whatever the LB, whatever the thing is, they all took up Krishna consciousness and they became servants of Krishna. So there is no discussion about it. Now you say what are the LB, X, Y, Z, all alphabets will be there one day. All 26 alphabets will be there. There will be combinations also, there are permutations also. So and that is the nature of human. When they behaves like an animal, then he tries to create more and more species within themselves. This is the nature. The moment you get ignorance is removed by giving knowledge, then they all take up Krishna consciousness and then start serving Krishna.
So, what is the role of leaders? Like, I think the new president-elect, he's conservative and looks like he's going to put an end to this insanity because this is being brainwashed even to children in the schools, celebrating one whole month called the Pride Month and teaching as young as 4-year-old about sexuality is like really stretching it too far.
Yeah, the real pride is to know that I am servant of Krishna. What is there in being proud? Because you may identify yourself as a boy, though you are born as a so-called girl, but ultimately after 70, 80 years, you'll die. Again, you'll identify yourself as somebody. Just because I identify somebody or myself as somebody, I don't become that. For example, tomorrow I identify myself as President of America. Then, will I be allowed to be President of America? When you are giving an option for a boy to identify yourself as a girl, why not give the option for the boy to identify himself as President of America? Isn't it? Why not? No, for that you have to be elected. Oh, so then for that you have to have the qualification, and for that you have to have the qualification. So just because I think myself as someone, I don't become that. I'll tell you a small story. It is a real story. One prime minister was there of this country. He went to a Pagal Khana, not because he became a Pagal, of course, everybody is Pagal in this world. He wanted to see whether everything is fine, going on nicely in the Pagal Khana, in that mental hospital. And went and saw the facilities were not proper. Hey, give the nice facility. Today is August 15th, Independence Day. You all should have good facility. He went and saw there some people are fighting and quarreling among themselves. Why are they quarreling? Give them good facility, give food. He went on. So he reached one place in the mental hospital. There was written restricted entry, very serious ward. They told, what is there? He says, very serious cases are put here. Then he told, I want to go inside. No. Very serious patients are there. We cannot go inside. I am the Prime Minister. I'll go inside. And then he was allowed. There's a big lock which was put. Then he saw nobody was there inside that chamber, in that particular cell. But at the corner he saw one person was sitting. He was having suit, boot, specs, and looking at him like this. Looking very intelligent. And then this Prime Minister came near and then told, how can this be Pagal? Other people are Pagal because they are howling, shouting, fighting. This people is very grave. And then he told, good morning. He was like, good morning. What an educated person. So then that Pagal was supposed to use foot and boot Pagal. He asked the person, may I know who you are? This prime minister was very happy to hear that this person is speaking English and in so sophisticated ways talking. Such a cultured person, how can he be a Pagal? So then the prime minister told, do you know who am I? I am the prime minister of this country. I am Jawaharlal Nehru, the prime minister of this country. Then this Pagal told, don't speak. So then he told, why? I also told the same thing. They have put me here. If you tell, they'll also put you here. So because he was so convinced that I am the prime minister of this country, just because he was so convinced about himself being the prime minister of the country, that doesn't make him the prime minister. In the same way, just because I think as somebody else, that doesn't make me so. If I tomorrow, if somebody says on the name of wokeism that I can consider myself to be the owner of your property, will you give that property to him?
No.
No. Then the law should say yes, because he considers
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. So ultimately, taking up Krishna consciousness, getting the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita is the solution, is what you're saying, right, Prabhu?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So, Prabhu, is there a way that the Kshetra can influence the Kshetrajna?
The Kshetra can influence the Kshetrajna. See, when you say Kshetrajna, you are referring to the conditioned soul, then the knower of the body. Now here, there are two meanings this word Kshetrajna. One, according to one of the acharyas, Kshetrajna means one who knows that this is the body and the soul. That means a liberated soul. It refers to liberated soul.
Okay.
Another meaning of Kshetrajna means one who is experiencing the influence of Kshetra. That is influence of the body on him. That means who is a conditioned soul. So this word Kshetrajna can refer to either the liberated soul or the conditioned soul. So definitely the liberated soul is not influenced by the Kshetra, by the body, because it's transcendent the body. Whereas the conditioned soul is influenced by the body, because if he is in a man's body, he can only do certain activities. If he is a woman's body, he can only do certain activities. Definitely, body is according to karma. So karma restricts a person for achieving certain desires. So if somebody is karma, because of which is a particular kind of body, he has got a particular features. He cannot become other person. You may try by artificial means, but not everybody can do that also. You have to have the money for that. Now, for example, if an young boy wants to become a girl, do you think the government will do it free of cost?
No.
So even though they desire, if the karma allows, then only he can do that. So the influence of karma is always there. The body is actually the result of your karma. That's the thing.
Okay. So, Prabhu, moving on from shlokas 8 to 12, in 5 amazing shlokas, Krishna is describing the process of knowledge.
Yeah.
So here, the very first line, amanitvam, adambhitvam, both are similar. Amanitvam is humility, adambhitvam is pridelessness. Aren't they the same? Why is Krishna reiterating them in different words?
Amanitva and adambhitva, both actually seem to be the same, but there is a distinction between them. Amanitva means not to expect respect from others. मान सम्मान की अपेक्षा नहीं करना, आशा नहीं करना, means not to expect any. Adambhitva means to show that I am a great man. So amanitva, if you don't have, that leads to adambhitva. If you are craving for some fame, name, fame, respect, etc., name, fame. So when you don't get it, what you do? you try to do something to get that. If without you not having that qualification, you try to project yourself as that I am so and so. Like many times it so happens there is a very poor person, but he has a great desire to get respect. So what he does, he goes to his friend's marriage ceremony by hiring a suit and a boot. He hires it. He doesn't have it. So when he goes, he shows that I got this thing. And he goes in a car which is hired for a couple of hours. It is not his car. But when people are, oh, nice. Oh, yeah. That's called damba. Damba means you're blowing your own trumpet. Actually, you don't have. So that's called adambitva. Amanitva means craving for fame, name, fame, glory. When you don't get it, you try to show that you try to do something or show something by which you try to get those things without you are being not qualified for that.
Okay. What is ahimsa, Prabhu? Prabhupada here is writing, anybody who is not preaching Krishna consciousness is committing violence. So this is a very paradigm.
Oh, that's an extraordinary purpose.
Yes.
It is an extraordinary understanding of ahimsa, which no other acharya has ever given about it. Srila Prabhupada's compassion can be seen through this particular explanation of the word ahimsa.
Yes.
Ahimsa means not to give pain for the living entities. And you are a doctor and you are on the road and you find there's an accident has happened and somebody is on the road suffering. Then you just drive your car ahead, and then because he is not my patient, he has not come to my hospital, so why I should treat him? So though you have the capacity to cure that person or at least reduce the pain, treat that person, you did not do that. You did not try to relieve the other person's pain in spite of you having the capacity. That means you are the cause of the person's pain. No, you may not be the direct cause of it, but you are the indirect cause of it. So you have the resources, you have the intelligence, and you have the knowledge, and you have the skills to propagate Krishna consciousness. Whatever extent possible. If you are not doing that, that you are himsaka. You are a violent person. You're creating violence. So the only way of non-violence is to preach. Using violence for preaching is actually actual non-violence. Using non-violence for not preaching is actually violence.
Brilliant. So going forward, Arjavam, Prabhu, I'm not going to Shanti because we've already talked about tolerance quite a few times. So Arjavam is simplicity, and Prabhupada is writing here, simplicity means that without diplomacy, one should be so straightforward that he can disclose the real truth even to an enemy.
So Arjava means to be very straightforward. Very straightforward to even a person who is not straightforward. So that's called Arjava. It's not tit for tat. A simple person. A tit for tat is not there. So it is straightforward. Being straightforward to even to enemy. The person is deceitful. It's called Arjava. That's called simplicity. Simplicity doesn't mean that you are just wearing some dhoti kurta or something like that. But you are straightforward in your speech, your actions, and your thought process. What you think, you speak. What you speak, you do. That's called Arjava.
So this Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadi Dukkha Doshanu Darshanam. This is one very interesting item of knowledge that Krishna is talking about. So, and Prabhupada is writing, it's essential that one should have this pessimistic view of material life. Dukkha Dosha Anudarshanam. So when the whole world is saying we should be optimistic, see the bright side of life, look, be positive. And here Krishna is saying you have to have this pessimistic view. You should see the faults of this world every moment, Anudarshanam.
When doctor says to the patient, you should be optimistic, you should not be pessimistic. Actually, you're very perfect, no problem with you. So it is not whether being optimistic or pessimistic. You can only be optimistic when you're realistic. Without being realistic, optimism is actually an illusion. So optimism has to be based on realism. So what is it? I'm not talking about the philosophy of realism. I'm talking about being realistic. So what is the reality? The reality of this world, when you know, then only you can be optimistic about it. And if you don't know the real problem of the patient, how can you be optimistic? You should diagnose. You should know what's the fault, what's wrong. Like you have some car, and let us be optimistic about it. So, and the car gets stuck up or some problem happens in the car. Let's be confident. Let's sit there and try to go on starting the car and be optimistic about it that we will become okay. The car will go for. No, you have to find out what is the fault. Repair that. That's called optimism. So, how can you be optimistic when you know the reality of this world? When you know that the truth of this world is there is misery in this world, then you can be optimistic about it. How to get rid of this misery? Otherwise, if you're thinking of becoming optimistic and without trying to know the real nature of this world, it is foolishness. So optimism is foolishness without being realistic. So definitely being realistic leads to being optimistic.
Okay. How does one maintain this consciousness, Prabhu? But even for us, for many of us, it's difficult to see this material world from through this lens. It sometimes feel like, okay, it's going on, it's fine.
Yeah, definitely it is going on. It is fine because we are Krishna conscious and we are trying to become Krishna conscious. Otherwise, those who are not Krishna conscious, they are driving a car on a mountain without knowing there's a cliff ahead of it. They're going to fall in the ditch. They're very happy about it. But the person who knows, who is Krishna conscious, he knows, yes, this world is miserable, and the only thing which we can make me happy is to be Krishna conscious, to chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, to serve Krishna. So in this way, a devotee who is Krishna conscious gets this knowledge of Dukkha Dosha Darshanam by default. So instead of thinking of world is miserable, think of Krishna. Then automatically things will fall into place.
Okay. Prabhu, it's easier to think of Mrityu, Jara, and Vyadi as sources of misery, but Janma also, because Janma is usually celebrated and seen as an auspicious thing, but Janma is also a source of misery.
Yeah, Janma is celebrated by whom? By the person who is born, the baby who is born, or others?
Others.
Others are celebrating. But the baby is crying. You may say we are celebrating. Why are the baby? The baby is crying.
What an introduction to the world. So, you wanted to say anything else, Prabhu?
Nothing.
Okay. So, Prabhu, next shloka, asaktir anabhiswangaha putra daragrihadishu nityam cha samachittattvam ishtanishtopapatishu. This being detached from putra dara grihadishu, Prabhupada also elaborates the aspects of Krishna conscious family life. So, I would like for you also to elaborate on this.
See, the problem is not family. The problem is your attachment to the family. The more you're attached to the family, the more problem comes. So that is why we need to develop the detachment. So Krishna talks about putra dara grihadishu. What you are supposed to be with them, you have to be detached from them. At the same time, perform all your responsibilities. So these responsibilities help us in developing the detachment. So that is what Prabhupada talks about. Putra dara grihadishu. What you're supposed to be? You have to be anasaktir, anaviswangaha, sangha, attachment. That is a problem. Attachment is a problem. So get rid of the attachment. That's all. How do you get rid of the attachment? You'll get rid of the attachment when you're attached to Krishna.
Okay. So, Prabhu, the next one is the most important item of all the 20 items of knowledge. Mai chananya yogena bhaktir avyabhicharini. So, this avyabhicharini bhakti, what is this, Prabhu?
Avyabhicharini bhakti. That bhakti is which is avyabhicharini. What is the meaning of that? Vyabhichari means that wife of a husband trying to have some attachment with another person. That is called vyabhichari. Vyabhichar. So, what is the meaning of avyabhicharini bhakti? That is, you do bhakti for Krishna in spite of all the troubles, like Kunti Maharani. Kunti Maharani's bhakti to Krishna is undeviated, where she prays, "Oh Lord, give me more and more trouble. Bhavato darshanam ityat apunat bhava darshanam. Oh Lord, give me more and more misery. If that is the cause of your darshan, my experience is misery. Let more misery come because I can have your darshan." That is called avyabhicharini bhakti. Not that, "Oh, I worship you, Krishna, so much, you did not fulfill my desire, so I'll go to somebody else. I go there. Oh, Ganeshji, you pass me in the exam, I'll break two naril in front of you. Or if you don't pass me in the exam, I'll break two naril on your head," or something like that. So this kind of called Vyabhichari Bhakti. Mamcha yo Vyabhicharena. This word Bhakti, Vyabhicharena Bhakti. Saguna Samati Teta. It's called pure devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti. And only that can take a person beyond the modes of nature.
Okay. So, Prabhu, correct me if I'm understanding these 5 shlokas in the proper way. So, by performing Avyabhicharini Bhakti, if we are consciously striving to develop these 20 items of knowledge, 20 minus 1, 19 items of knowledge. So we should understand that if I am striving to develop these qualities by performing Bhakti, then Krishna will reveal the real knowledge in my heart. Is that how we are supposed to understand this section?
Which section?
This 8 to 12. Yeah, the 8 to 12, the process of knowledge.
Yeah, in both ways. By performance of bhakti, all the qualities develop, because it is said in the Bhagavatam that by performance of bhakti and avyabhicharini bhakti, all the aste sarvagunan, verse which says that yasyasti bhaktir bhagavate kinchana sarver gunes tatra samasate sura. So all the gunas will come. But at the same time, one should also endeavor to attain those qualities, because endeavor to attain those qualities pleases Krishna, which is an aspect of devotional service. So though these qualities are attained only by bhakti, at the same time one has to endeavor to get these qualities, at the same time perform bhakti, by which these qualities manifest by the mercy of Krishna. Both ways.
Okay. And the next one was, so by we striving to do this, then Krishna will reveal the knowledge, right? Jnana Deepena Baswata.
Yes, he will give us knowledge.
Okay. So, Prabhu, moving to the next section, in shlokas 13 to 19, Krishna is talking about Jneyam, the object of knowledge. And he goes on to reveal that what we are supposed to know is soul and super soul. So, again, these two aspects are coming. And here in 13th shloka, Krishna is saying, Jneyam yattat pravakshyami yajñatvamritam ashnute anadimat param brahma nasattanna saduchyate. I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal. This is beginningless and it is subordinate to me. It is called Brahman, the spirit, and it lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So when Krishna says, Yaj Jnatva Amrutam Ashnute, when he says you will taste the eternal, what does he mean?
You taste the eternal means you taste the eternal relationship with me. All these days you have been tasting temporal relationship with your mother, father, some sister, brother, or wife, or husband. But when you attain the knowledge of my rasa, that is rasa jnana, so that is understanding of the word amrutamashnute. In this world, all the relationships are mruta, whereas only relationship which is eternally, which is manifest in our eternally, we have relation with Krishna. So that relation is what Krishna is indicating to.
Okay. And what does it mean to know soul and super soul? Now I have an intellectual understanding. Yes, I am the soul. Does it mean that I know the soul?
What is the meaning of I know Rasgulla?
I have tasted Rasgulla.
That's all. That means you have tasted the super soul. You have tasted Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
The taste in Krishna consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
That is called knowing. Just knowing that I am not this body, I am spirit soul. Even if you chant this mantra, I am
Mm-hmm.
not this body, I am spirit soul. I am not this body, I am spirit soul. After that 16 rounds of chanting the mantra, I am not this body, I am spirit soul, you will feel hungry.
Mm.
Then you ask your wife, I am hungry. Then she says, who is hungry, body or soul? Says, shut up, give me food.
Mm.
So this is not going to help. This chanting is not going to help you.
Mm.
What gives this realization is your service to Krishna.
Mm-hmm.
It is only bhakti which gives to this realization that I am not this body and spirit soul.
Mm.
Otherwise, arohetu chena, even though they attain to very great levels, padam param padam patanti adaha, they fall down.
Okay. Okay. So knowing doesn't mean just intellectual understanding, but working on that platform.
Yeah.
Okay. So, Prabhu, this shloka, the 14th verse, which talks about the all-pervading nature of the super soul. Sarvatah panipadam tat sarvatokshi shiromukham sarvatah shruti malloke sarvamavritya tishtati. Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes and faces, and he hears everything. In this way, the super soul exists. How do we understand this, Prabhu?
Krishna is talking about Paramatma.
Mhm.
Paramatma is all pervading. He is in everybody's heart. There is one Paramatma in everybody's heart. So that is why it is described, it's been described as Sarvatra Panipadam. His hands are everywhere, legs are everywhere. Sarvatok Shirisho Mukam. He's got his head everywhere. He Shiro Mukam, his face everywhere. Sarvatra Shitmal Loke, his ears are everywhere. Sarvamartha Krishnati. So the Paramatma feature of Krishna has been described in this particular verse.
So the Paramatma, is he there only in living beings or non-living also? Later he will say, I am there in
Hmm.
non-moving also.
So when Supreme Lord is present in everybody's soul as super soul, he is called Paramatma. So the Paramatma for Atma is Paramatma.
Mm.
The Paramatma of matter is called Brahman.
Oh,
Brahman is all pervading. So it's just a distinction in the name, but
okay,
there's all pervading feature only.
okay, okay, okay. So in the 15th shloka, Krishna talks about his transcendental nature. Sarvendriya gunabhasam sarvendriya vivarjitam asaktam sarva vrichaiva nirgunam guna bhoktracha. The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all modes of material nature. So, how do we understand these three statements, Prabhu? He is the origin of senses, but he is without senses. He is unattached, but he is maintaining everybody. He is the master of the modes, but he is transcendental to the modes.
So this is the understanding of Krishna. That is, the mutually contradictory qualities are existing harmoniously in him. That is Viruddha Samanyam Tasminna Chitram. He is Ajanma, but still takes Janma.
Hmm.
So this is contradiction. How he is unborn? How is he born? Yes. So from the point of view of Tattva, there is uh, he is unborn. But the point of view of Rasa, he is born.
Hmm.
So Rasa, Tattva, Taratamya. There is a distinction between Rasa and Tattva. And you harmonize that. You do Samanvaya, Rasa, Tattva, Samanvaya. Samanvaya means harmonization. Then you enjoy Krishna consciousness. You enjoy Krishna. You enjoy Krishna by resolving or harmonizing contradiction.
Hmm.
So Sarvendriya Gunabhasam Sarvendriya. In spite of he not having senses, what does he do? He Sarvendriya Gunabhasam. He makes us to enjoy the sense objects. Sarvendriya Vivarjitam. He doesn't have senses, but still he is the cause of our senses function. He is the cause of the functioning of our senses.
Hmm.
What does it mean, Sarvendriya Vivarjitam? He has no material senses. Asaktam Sarabuchaiva. He is totally unattached, but still he maintains everyone because he has love for all of us. He is unattached. And Nirgunam Gunamuktacha, he is beyond the modes of nature. At the same time, he has a transcendental quality of affection towards his devotees.
All right. So continuing in the 17th shloka, Krishna is saying, although the super soul appears to be divided, he is never divided. So how do we understand this undividing nature of the super soul?
Oh, that's very interesting because when we say, for example, 10 people are in a room and we say in everybody's heart, Krishna is there as super soul. What does it mean? There are 10 super souls. It is not like that. It is one super soul in everybody's heart. How one sun is reflected in 100 pots of water kept under it. You go into every pot of water, you'll find reflection. That doesn't mean the sun has become 100. There's only one sun. In the same way, avibhaktam cha bhuteshu vibhakti mivacha sthitam. You see the sun is being divided into 100 parts, but it is not divided. It is avibhaktam. Vibhakti miva. It seems to be divided, but it is not.
Okay. So super soul is not there after liberation?
There's no point in having super soul after liberation. When you go back to Godhead, there is no super soul required there, because super soul is only a manifestation of Krishna in dealing with matter.
Okay. So Prabhu, the next section where Krishna answers Arjuna's two more questions, Prakriti and Purusha. So here he's saying in the 20th shloka, Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhyanadi Ubhavapi Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. Material nature and the living entity should be understood to be beginningless. Their transformations and the modes of matter are products of material nature. Why is living entity being called as Purusha here? And who is a Purusha?
Prakritim Purusham Chaiva Vidhyanadi Ubhavapi Vikaramscha Gunamschaiva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. Now, what is the meaning of Purusha here? Purusha means the living entity. So both the living entity and Prakriti, the material nature, both are Anadi. Anadi means they don't have any beginning. So, since both of them don't have any beginning, they are considered to be the energy of Krishna.
Okay.
The living entity is also energy of Krishna. The material nature is also energy. That is why they don't have beginning. And now what happens? The problem is not with Prakriti, the problem is not with Purusha. But when they come together, that is the problem. Vikarams gunams chaiva vidhi Prakriti sambhavan. So the body, the senses, and all the vikaras are because of the jiva's consciousness stuck in Prakriti. So the jiva, which is known as Purusha, he has no idea what's happening. If I get a stomachache, the soul doesn't know, my soul doesn't know that I got a stomachache. It is only the consciousness which is contained with the modes of nature, it is experiencing the stomachache. The soul has neither birth nor death. Who is dying then? Where is the experience of death coming from? The experience of death is because of the Prakriti, which is bound the consciousness of the living entity. That is why Vikarams Gunas Cheva Vidhi Prakriti Sambhavan. It is all Prakriti Sambhavan. It is not belonging to the Jiva. The soul doesn't feel hungry. The soul doesn't have misery because it is Satchitananda. All these experiences are because of matter, because of our association with matter, because of our attachment with matter.
So, Prabhu, Purusha means enjoyer, but we, the living entity, is actually Prakriti, right? Krishna said in 7th chapter, we are superior Prakriti and material nature is inferior Prakriti. Now he is saying we are Purusha, but we are not. We are not the enjoyer, we are the enjoyed.
Because the living entity has a tendency to enjoy matter, because enjoying capacity is there in the living entity because it's a part and parcel of Krishna, who is the supreme enjoyer. That is why living entity has been addressed here as the Purusha, but it's not Pradhana Purusha.
Okay.
He is just a Jiva Purusha.
Okay. So, Prabhu, what about this Pradhana Purusha? In 5.29 also Krishna said Bhoktaram Yajna Tapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the supreme enjoyer, he is the supreme controller. So the distinction between the Pradhana Purusha and Jiva Purusha.
That Pradhana Purusha, Pradhana Kshetrajna Patir Gunesha. Pradhana Purusha is Patir Gunesha. He is the control of the modes. Whereas the living entity is subservient to the modes. That is the distinction. And that distinction has been spoken practically in every chapter of the Bhagavad Gita.
Okay, okay. And Prabhu, 23rd shloka, where the different attributes of super soul is being described here. Upadrashtanumanta cha bharta bhokta maheshwarah paramatmeti chapyukto dehesmin purushah parah. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the supreme proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter and who is known as the super soul. So Upadrashta Anumanta, he is the overseer and permitter. So why is Krishna permitting everything, even obnoxious things? Like somebody wants to behead somebody, Krishna is permitting.
Many times when people ask this question, I always give the example of a traffic policeman. Now you're driving a car and the red light has come and nobody is there. You're the only person. You see the red light and you stop the car. You find there's no traffic ahead. There's no traffic ahead. Nobody is ahead. You find no one, no policeman anywhere. Then what you do? Why you should wait? Actually, it's not going to happen. So what you do? You just drive the car ahead. And all of a sudden the policeman comes from hiding behind the tree. Hey, you have broken the traffic. It is a common experience for us in India.
Yes.
Now you may ask a question, why did the police not stop me? Or at least you have shown that I am here. Yes, the police had stopped you by the red light, by the signal. So, in the same way, Krishna has stopped you by giving you scripture.
Okay.
But when you don't follow the scripture, he'll come and punish you. It is not that the police has allowed you to break the signal. Here, by the signal itself, he has told, he has bound you, he has told you, you should not break the signal. So, through the scriptures, which is a signal to us, Krishna has told. But he allowed you because the police has given the freedom to you to follow the rule or not to follow the rule. So that is the meaning of the word Upadrashta Anumanta. Anumanta doesn't mean he has sanctioned. He has not sanctioned all the bad things. Whereas he has given the sanction for you to choose between to follow me or not to follow me.
Excellent explanation. Okay. And what about this overseer, Prabhu? Why Krishna has to be the overseer, be in everybody's heart as super soul? He can get it done just like that. Material nature is there. He can also do it. Why personally be in everybody's heart?
Yeah, he is there as Paramatma in everybody's heart because it is he who gives the demigods the strength to perform their activities. Like, for example, you have different departments of the government, the police, the municipality, the fire, different departments are there. Though different departments are there, they use one emblem, the government emblem is everywhere with them. So in the same way, though there are different demigods who are controlling different aspects of the body and the world, still they require the mora, the emblem. That is the super soul.
Nice.
Otherwise, they cannot function.
Okay. And Prabhu, is the role of super soul same for both devotees and non-devotees, or does he do something different for the devotees, the surrendered souls?
For the surrendered soul, the super soul acts more as Krishna directly, as Bhagavan directly, rather than of doing the function of just a Paramatma. That's all.
Okay. So very nice. So like this, Krishna explains about Purusha and Prakriti. And finally, in the last section, Krishna talks about developing a special kind of vision called Jnana Chakshu, the vision of knowledge. And he goes on to say a person who is having this vision of knowledge, how do they see the world? So if you can also elaborate on this section, Prabhu, Jnana Chakshu.
Jnana Chakshu. Actually, whatever we see, we cannot see by the eyes. We can only see by the eyes of knowledge. For example, if somebody just came from a jungle, has no idea what is an electricity, if I show him some mobile or a tab or a computer, he's seeing, but still he's not seeing because he doesn't have knowledge about it. So actually, we see things through the eyes of knowledge. Even though we see, if we don't have knowledge about it, we are pashyannapi na pashyati. Even though we see, we are not seeing it. That is the reason when we see this world, we have to see with the knowledge of scriptures. When you see that everything in this world is nothing but energy of Krishna, then this world, which is the cause of misery for us, the same world will become the cause of happiness for us. Because you are seeing the world with the eyes of knowledge. Like if I give you something to eat, for example, an ice cream to eat, and somebody doesn't know what it is, never had eaten ice cream. So now he doesn't have the knowledge about it. So he tries to eat it. When he tries to eat the ice cream without knowledge about the ice cream, he'll suffer the ice cream, not enjoy the ice cream.
Really?
He just put the entire scoop and then put in the mouth, start chewing it. What will happen? Full gola and then put in the mouth. Start chewing. What will happen?
He's not relishing.
He'll suffer. Not relish because he doesn't know. So knowledge makes you happy because you know how to deal with that particular thing. You know how to deal with this world. That's it.
Okay. So, Prabhu, finally, in the middle of the, not middle, here in a couple of shlokas, Krishna is saying the super soul can be perceived by various means. However, he again emphasizes the superiority of bhakti over other means. 25th and 26th shloka. ध्यानेनात्मनि पश्यन्ति केचिदात्मानमात्मना अन्ये सांख्येन योगेन कर्म योगेन चापरे. That super soul is perceived by some through meditation, by some through the cultivation of knowledge, and by others through working without fruitive desire. And in the very next shloka, Krishna says, Anyetvevam ajanantah shrutvanebhya upasate tepi chati tarantyeva mrutyum shruti parayanaha. Again, there are those who, although not conversant in spiritual knowledge, begin to worship the Supreme Person upon hearing about him from others. Because of their tendency to hear from authorities, they also transcend the path of birth and death. So if you can emphasize on the superiority of bhakti compared to other paths and the importance of hearing.
It is very simple. For example, you have you have to go to somebody's house and you have the address. What do? You try to find out how to go to the house by reading the address and thinking, oh, it is. You get some indications and struggle. And then there's another way, that is, you go to a pawn shop wala who in the local area and you say that I want to go to meet this person. Then the pawn wala in some places, Like if it is, I know many places where the farmer will close the shop and sit in your car. Then I'll show you. He comes along. I take right and left and top. Isn't it?
Yes.
So that's more easy. Of course, these days you have the Google Map.
Yes.
Just here, take a right turn, left turn, and you are there. You are the destination.
Right.
Isn't it? Just by hearing you can go. It's easy. The same way, hearing is the best process. By hearing from proper source, then you attain realization. Like many people say, one devotee called me a few days back, appreciating his Pariprashna series, and told Prabhuji, now Bhagavad Gita I've read so many times, but hearing this has taken me to a different level. Now somebody already gave a comment also. Same thing was spoken to me by somebody.
Okay.
So by hearing, it happens.
So this is spiritual GPS, Guru Parampara system GPS.
Yeah.
Wonderful, Prabhu. Excellent. So, Prabhu, towards the final round, that is Brahmastra round. So, Prabhu, today it's going to be super simple actually. So, all you have to do is I'm going to give you some random prompts. There is no like much thought behind it. Some random things I will say. And after each of them, whatever first thing comes to your mind, you can just say one word or one sentence. Whatever flashes in your mind, you just say it out loud. So, the very first prompt, Srila Prabhupada's smile.
Captivating.
Captivating. Very nice. Next, Maya.
Last year of Maya is Mayavad.
Okay. Next one. You're giving a serious philosophical class in a temple hall and a toddler is running all around and making noise.
Don't care.
Don't
Let
care.
him enjoy.
Okay. Next. The sound of the temple bell.
More important than being the president of America.
Oh, the delayed flight.
Chant and be happy.
Seeing a flower garland fall off the DT.
Yeah, I have some transcendental illusion that Krishna is showing mercy to you.
Okay. Transcendental illusion. What a term. Zoom lectures.
Last preferred.
Oh, okay. Okay. Next, Bhakti Vedanta purports.
Relish.
Nice. Gomata, cow.
Everything for me.
You lost your footwear during yatra.
I never wear them.
Oh. Okay. Next, giving class to a distracted audience.
The best thing to do.
So you said best thing to do, Prabhu? Giving a class to a distracted audience?
Why the best thing to do? Huh.
Why is the
Because
best thing?
we can do a lot of kirtan in the middle.
Oh, okay.
You can do some kirtan, get attention, again speak something. That's the best thing to do.
Okay.
At least you are sitting and hearing.
Yeah. Okay, next one. Dancing in kirtan.
Somehow I've developed the taste for it.
Okay, next. Rajbog Thali on a festival day.
Unfortunately, I cannot take it anymore.
Oh.
I'm getting old and falling sick because of those things.
Okay. Last one. The sound of applause after your lecture.
Very depressed. You're supposed to ask questions.
Oh, so you would be more impressed with the questions rather than applause. Fantastic, Prabhu. Thank you so much. That was really rapid. It was just boom, boom, boom coming. So thank you very much, Prabhu. Another fantastic discussion, a lot of food for thought. So next is going to be 14th chapter, the modes of material nature. So I'm really looking forward to get into that as well. So thank you very much, dear devotees. You've been accompanying us on this journey of Pariprashna. So please munch on this, whatever Prabhu has given for the next week. And I hope that all of you are keeping up with the pace of the episodes that we are uploading. We have already uploaded 12 episodes. This is going to be the 13th. So in case you are having a lot of backlog, I request you, please catch up with them. There is a playlist link given in the description. Just click on it and please make sure that you watch all of them. So in the next week's episode, we will be discussing chapter number 14, Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. So in 13th chapter, 22nd shloka, Krishna has talked about how the soul is bound by these three material modes. And what are those modes? We'll get into the details of it in the next episode. We will see you very soon. Until then, take care and stay inquisitive and stay Krishna conscious. Hare Krishna.